footy record. Hi everyone, welcome to the round 12 edition of On The Record, brought to you by Woolworths as we take a sneak peek inside the page of this week's edition of the AFL Record, Australia's #1 selling sports magazine. And joining me today is my AFL media friend and colleague and the Ducks of St Bede's College 1987, Peter Ryan. Pete, welcome.
Well, I won't claim Ducks, but there's been some good footballers come out of St Bede's. Luke Beveridge, Jared Healy, a Brownlow medalist, so I wasn't quite to their standard, but enjoyed my time there.
All right, now to our feature story for the week. One player who grew up not too far from St Bede's College is Melbourne Rahman Maxwell, actually from McKinnon. Pete, Max Gawn, a player that you've followed closely. You covered Melbourne a bit. I had a really good chat to him for the record last week, and it's been a great success story, hasn't it? Yeah,
he's really turned his career around. This time last year, we didn't know where he was heading, but he got back in the senior side, played a brilliant game down at Geelong, got the 3 Brownlow votes, and has been the #1 ruckman ever since. You would have spoken to him. He's a real character. He's a lifeblood of the club. His tap work's extraordinary. His contested mark's improving, and he's becoming a real presence. Everyone you talk to around there said Max Gawn is one of those glue-type players who brings the group together and gets them all on the same page, on and off the field.
Now, famously at the start of the season, he set a goal to become the #1 ruckman in the AFL. Do you think he can get there?
Well, it was brave of him to do that because you're putting yourself out there when you do that, and I think he can. He set himself to match Todd Goldstein. He did so early in the year. They were the best 2 players on the ground down there in Hobart. He's only ever played 13 games in a season. That's his maximum. So this year's his first year of full football. Give him a couple of more years and I reckon he can match Todd Goldstein and probably go past him.
It's actually the first pre-season he's ever had. Now, Monday, of course, the MCG, Melbourne v Collingwood, the traditional Queen's Birthday game. It has also become now the Big Freeze game. Big Freeze 2, as we raise profile and money for motor neurone disease research. Neil Danehurst, the front person for that. Pete, when footy gets into a cause, it does so really well, doesn't it?
Yeah, particularly when it's led by a figure such as Neil Danehurst. We've had a bit to do with Neil over the journey. He was a great coach at Melbourne, a really popular fella and a really decent person. Sadly struck down with this motor neurone disease, but given full credit, he's leading a awareness-raising campaign, and Monday it all comes together. I was there last year on Queen's Birthday. It's a lot of fun watching those characters go down the slide and seeing Neil's smiling face, so everyone should get behind it.
Yeah, buy your blue beanie for $20 and support that cause. Now, also this week in the record, Pete, is the results of the AFL fan survey. 45 questions put to the footy public out there, all sorts of issues and questions in the game, but I'll ask you 2 quick ones. Best player and the best coach in the AFL?
Well, the best player's easy for me, Buddy Franklin. I just love watching him play. Every time I walk past the tally, if Sydney Swans are playing, I'll stop and watch Buddy, and I'm never disappointed. The obvious answer for best coach is 3-time premiership coach Alistair Clarkson.
Of course, this week's mag has all the answers. Make sure you buy a copy at the ground to see the answer to all those questions. Now, turning to Match Centre, and it is a big week for North Melbourne defender Michael Freda, who plays his 264th game, which is equal fourth most for any player off the rookie list, which is a fabulous achievement.
Yeah, great effort from Spud. I mean, it's really the second coming. If you know, would have thought a couple of years ago he's almost gone. Number 11, tough competitor, old-fashioned footballer, but he just gets the job done.
Yeah, he's been a great pickup. He played for Box. I think Hawthorn were about to grab him in the draft when North got him first, and he's been an inspired choice for them. As you say, a couple of years ago, he just didn't think he was in their best 22 anymore, but he endures. So Saturday night's a really big game, Geelong v North. Who's your tip?
Well, with Tom Hawkins suspended, which would be pleasing to Spud, I think North just have the edge, so I think they'll win.
Yeah, that should be a good game. So turning to the back half now, and a game that's sort of stuck under the radar now, it's actually a really good game, is Adelaide Oval, Saturday afternoon. Port Adelaide hosting the Western Bulldogs. Port Adelaide, they're 6-5 and back in contention. Pete, what do you put their improvement down to?
Well, they've got it. Their small forwards are up and running. Aaron Young, Chad Wingard. I mean, Aaron Young's been a revelation. They've also got what I call the Gray brothers, but they're the Greys, Robbie Gray and Sam Gray. They're great midfielders. Robbie Gray had his issues early in the year, but we know he's an all-Australian talent. So they've actually started firing in the midfield, and that just has made them a whole different side. Young's a great story, isn't he? He held the record, I think, 21 green vests over the last couple of years. He used to take them home every week. He'd just do ironing himself rather than give it to property steward. But he's a great story now, isn't he? Yeah, well, the property steward gave it to him at the end of this year and said you can take that home, put it on your wall, which I don't think he was thrilled about. But he is a great story. 25 goals. It was probably just one of those anonymous players this time last year, but number 40 has the long locks, or the sort of man bun, doesn't he? sport, I think. So he doesn't mind getting out there, and he just has become one of the future stars of the competition.
It's been a fantastic story. Now, that's a really good game Saturday. The Western Bulldogs have the best defence in the competition, Pete. Can Port Adelaide break through them and get the win?
I think they can. Charlie Dixon's a huge factor down there. They've been fighting against the odds of Bulldogs, but I think with the improvement of the Port Adelaide midfield and at Adelaide Oval, they'll be able to overwhelm the Bulldogs.
It will be a really good game Saturday afternoon, Pete. Good to have you on board.
Pleasure.
And now to my tips for round 12, and picked 7 last week, let down by GWS and, of course, by Collingwood, who were dreadful against Port Adelaide. I like North Melbourne on Saturday night to win by 11 points. I think that the Sydney Swans will win the derby up in Sydney. I think they've got over the Giants a little bit. They'll win that game. And I like Melbourne on Monday to keep their finals hopes alive with a win over Collingwood at the MCG. And turning now to this week's nominations for the Mark of the Year, brought to you by Woolworths.
Enright. Men's that's one of the grabs of the year from Lobb.
Cripps goes down the line to the wing. Set up for Schofield.
This game goes back in the direction of Crozier. Long ball for Fremantle. Up they fly. Good mark taken by Taberner. They call him the Duck.
It's very tempting to vote for Schofield. That was a great mark, an old-fashioned hanger, but I'm actually going to go for Rory Lobb from the Giants for this week for my vote. That was a combination of Jonathan Brown and Nick Rewalt from the old days. Very courageous, a terrific mark, that one. Of course, to have your say, go to markoftheyear.afl.com.au to take part. So that's it for this week's edition of On The Record. We've got 2 covers for the mag this week. We've got the Geelong cover featuring Stephen Motlop, and of course the national cover with Max Gawn on the cover and the promotion for the MND campaign. So don't forget to pick up your copy of the record, $5 at all grounds. Look for the kids in the green caps and the green jackets, and we will talk to you again next week. Thanks for watching.